Welcome, everyone. This is the 8th day of October 2018. First, we have a public hearing for ordinance number 1512, a zoning map amendment to rezone approximately 30.9 acre parcel located at 725 Old Shelbyville Highway from R1 Low Density Residential District to A Agricultural District. Anyone in the audience wish to address this issue tonight? All right, we'll close the public hearing and go into the regular meeting of the Board of Mayor and Alderman. First, to the roll call. Ms. Golden.
Yes. Mayor Curley.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem King.
Here.
Alderperson Blanks.
Here.
Duncan. Dunn.
Here.
Noes. Mathis.
Here.
5 present.
All right, we have a quorum, so we will proceed. We'll ask Dr. Blanks, if you would, to offer our invocation and lead us in the pledge. Ask everyone to please stand and remain standing for the pledge.
You bow with me, please. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for many blessings. Father, we live in a great town and a great state and a great country. The greatest town in the world, in my opinion. And thank you for continuing to bless us. Please pray that we do the business of this city to your liking, where we are fair to everyone and give everybody a fair shake. Father, be with us as we conduct this business. Pray that we're leading Tullahoma in the way it needs to be leaded, that we won't leave anybody behind. Father, we live in polarized times. Father, we pray that we can all put aside political differences and work together more than we ever have before. Father, we know we sin often. We ask you to forgive us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dr. Blanks.
You're welcome.
All right, you see we have a new face that has joined us this evening. I'm very pleased to welcome and introduce Ms. Natalie Todaro. You know, I've been doing this a long time, and I'm not sure I've ever seen a resume that's as impressive as this one. She's a senior from the high school. She has a 4.571 GPA. She had made a 34 on the ACT. She's ranked second in her graduating class of 351 students. She was a member of Girls State. She is a member of Mu Alpha Theta. She's a member of the National Honor Society, the National English Honor Society. She earned the Freshman Science Department Award. She's very active in sports. She was a varsity captain last year and this year for her volleyball team. She's earned awards. She's very active in her church, St. Paul's Catholic Church. She's is earning her pilot's license from Smyrna, Tennessee. She has 80 plus hours of private aircraft flight time. She's very active in several organizations at the high school in DECA. She is a photographer and reporter for THS Sports. She's a member of the Spanish Club. She was active in the basketball team, softball team, and volleyball. She works, used to work at Chick-fil-A, and pretty amazing. So, Ms. Todaro, what I did was I put my resume and your resume side by side. And I'm pleased to report there was only one thing that was the same. I was also in the Spanish Club. Nothing else. Nothing else can I compare to that. So, we're very pleased you are here. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I've lived here for 3 years. My family used to be in the military, and my dad retired last summer. And we decided to stay here in Tullahoma because we liked it so much and just worked for our family. So hopefully my family stays here longer as I'm in college and all that. But as of right now, we love this town, and I'm just really excited. This is probably my favorite place to ever live. So.
Where do you want to go to college?
I'm planning on going to Auburn University, and I want to be a mechanical engineer. And I know that.
You do know that.
Yes. I've heard all
Well,
about
at least it's in Alabama.
it. I know. Trust me, Mr. Edwards has told me all about.
Oh, has he?
Yes, sir.
Well, glad you're here. Glad you
Thank you.
joined us. In a few minutes, we'll ask everyone to offer just a brief report. So if you have anything that you'd like to report on, we'll recognize you at that time. So again, we'll come back to you in just a moment. Will you take me up flying soon?
If you like, if you trust me.
I'll go with you anytime. I'll go with, I enjoy flying around Tullahoma. Yeah. Okay, so I've got, if you would, stand at your desk there, Ms. Tadaro, and we have a certificate that we would like to present to you, recognizing you as the honorary alderman tonight.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. It's gonna hold there. Quick photo.
All right, as everyone knows, this is Fire Prevention Week, and we have a proclamation that we're pleased to present tonight, and we'll present to Chief Shasteen in just a moment. Whereas the City of Tullahoma, Tennessee is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living and visiting Tullahoma, whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally in homes or locations where people are at the greatest risk from fire. Whereas home fires killed 2,735 people in the United States in 2016. And fire departments in the United States responded to 352,000 home fires. So whereas Tullahoma's residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. And whereas Tullahoma's first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas Tullahoma's residents are responsive to public education measures and are able to take action to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. Whereas the 2018 Fire Prevention Week theme, Look, Listen, Learn, Be Aware, Fire Can Happen Anywhere, effectively serves to remind us that we need to take personal steps to increase our safety from fire. Therefore, I, Lane Curley, Mayor of Tullahoma, Tennessee, do hereby proclaim October 7 through 13, 2018 as Fire Prevention Week throughout the city, and urge all people of Tullahoma to be aware of their surroundings, look for available ways out in the event of a fire or other emergency, respond when the smoke alarm sounds by exiting the building immediately, and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of Tullahoma's fire and emergency services during Fire Prevention Week 2018. So I recognize Chief Shasteen for any comments he'd like to make, and I think he has a guest to introduce.
Thank you, Mayor. We're honored to accept that proclamation for Tullahoma, for the fire department. We appreciate you putting that out this year. We also like to take serious the words you said, look, listen, and learn. We've given y'all some tests in the past and had some questions, and I would challenge each of you tonight that when you go home, look around your home. If you see any fire hazards, anything like that, try to correct them or call us. We can give you some ways to correct them if you can't figure out how to correct them. Listen to your smoke alarm, and also pay attention to the year it was manufactured. Just because it makes the noise when you push the test doesn't mean it's going to work during the fire. They need to be replaced every 10 years. So don't only just test it, but look at the year of manufacture it's written on it. And then learn ways out of everywhere you are. A lot of people are vacationing this week at the beach. Of course, they're learning how to evacuate the beach tonight because they put a mandatory evacuation in Panama City. But that's some things you need to be looking at when you're going on vacation. Looking at two ways out of a hotel. Where are the stairwells? When you're shopping in Tullahoma, as Mr. Blanks always recommends, look for two ways out of that building, whatever building you're in case one door is blocked, you need two ways out. So look, listen, learn, very important message from the Fire Prevention Council, NFPA. Tonight I have a special guest with me, Mr. Jim Griffith. He's with the National Fire Safety Council, and he's here to talk a little bit about the Tullahoma Fire Department's program, which is a nationwide program that we've responded with. So,
Yes, sir. Mayor Curley, I've heard of you before. I haven't met you, I don't think, but I think you used to work with Martin's Pharmacy some, and I used to deal with you some as far as donating. But anyway, it's so good to be with all of you, and good to see you. God bless each one. But I've been working with down in Tullahoma since 1988. I came in back when C.B. Watkins was here. Everybody knows C.B. And I met him at the Chiefs Convention over in Nashville back in '87, actually, when I first began to do this. The National Fire Safety Council, just by way of information, has been around for a long time. They started back in the 60s. And they're the only nonprofit organization in the United States that provides fire safety materials as well, and the only one that I know of that provides the service of getting up the money to buy the materials. So we're kind of unique in some ways. Anyway, I met CD, and he was very interested in the program and said he had had somebody in before that didn't do him right. And you know CB, if you cross him, that was it. You don't cross CB. Anyway, but he kind of watched me for a while, and then the next year he says, Jim, I'm gonna try you out. He says, you better not mess up. So I knew I had to do it right, and we've been doing it right ever since. I've been working with you for 30 years. Back in 2007, Chief Chastain came in, and we've been working great ever since that time. And in fact, we got you a new suit. I don't know if the guys are around tonight or not. We were able to pick up a fire pup suit. We had gotten you one, I think, back in 2008, I believe. Maybe a little more recently, I forget. But here's a fire pup suit. We were able to get you this thanks to your sponsors. We got to give them the credit. But this is a fire pup suit, and the kids just love this guy. And I imagine they pull his ears and whatever else they can get a hold of.
Well, on this particular one, they usually can't reach his ears.
Well, he's tall anyway.
We may have the tallest fire pup in the state.
Man, I'll tell you, he's kind of scary to lead away. He looks great, though. It's a nice suit. But that's a very good suit. These suits here are the best one we've ever had. We had several, and some of them were made in Taiwan and China, parts of it were. But this is a completely American-made suit, down to the screws. So everything's American-made, very patriotic organization, and we want you to have the best, and that's why you have this. So give old Fire Pup a hand. Tonight I wanted to give Chief Chastain and the city of Tullahoma, we thank all of you so much for your participation. Tullahoma is a good patriotic town. They are behind the program 100%, and the chief and the men at the department do a great job. They go out, as you know, I'm sure you know better than I do, they go out and put up smoke detectors and pass out little books like this right here that's got the names of the sponsors on the back. And I wish I could read them all off, but we don't have time for that, to thank all these people for what they've done. But you have some folks in town that have been given, I guess, for 30 years faithfully on the program every year, and we do appreciate everybody that helps. But we want to present him a 30-year award for this program. Thank you, Chief. God bless you and the department. Thank you for Tullahoma for being a very progressive town and understanding the necessity and the importance of preventing the fire before it stops. We have a motto with the National Fire Safety Council: the best way to fight a fire is prevent it. If you can stop it before it starts, you're way ahead. So, I mean, it cost a few thousand for the program over the last 30 years. If you had one fire, it would cost you a lot more than what it costs for this program, and you saved a lot of fires by having it. So thank you so much for your time. God bless everyone, and we appreciate your allowing us to do this.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin.
Yes, I'd like to say also that I accept this on behalf of our people at the fire station. And I know this is Fire Prevention Week. Some people say Fire Prevention Month, but we practice fire prevention year-round. We go out and do programs year-round. The men and women at the fire department work very hard to prevent fires, and it's been very successful. Our fires are way down, structure fires in Tullahoma. Last year we only responded to 11 structure fires in the city. And that's just unheard of a town our size. And I feel like it's a direct reflection of our work in fire prevention. Also, I'd like to introduce Melissa Allen. She's our fire department fire risk coordinator that represents the city, and she deals with the state fire marshal's office almost daily on our smoke alarm program. Ms. Allen, can you tell me how many smoke alarms we've installed this year so far in Tullahoma?
578 since January.
We installed 578 smoke alarms just this calendar year in Tullahoma. And those are all donated by a grant through the fire marshal's office. And we get calls almost daily, if you can believe it, from people that have realized either their smoke alarms are more than 10 years old or they actually don't have any at all. And I'd say a couple of times a month we respond to homes on medical emergencies or other fire, smoke, and we find that they don't have any in there, so we install them right then. We carry about a half a dozen in each apparatus so that before we leave their home, even if it's a medical call and we ask, do you have a smoke alarm? If they don't, before we leave, we install smoke alarms. So it's a very successful program, and doing it along with this National Fire Safety Council program has made Tullahoma a much safer place to be. So I appreciate Jim. Every year he calls me, hey, we're doing the program again in the spring. You guys and girls support it. We send the letters out and people send the money, and it just rolls on every year. So this is a great program. We appreciate y'all letting us participate. I appreciate the fire club being here and Ms. Allen.
Appreciate your good work.
If anybody has any questions.
Appreciate y'all's good work.
Can I say
Thank
one
you.
last thing? I
Yes,
just want to say, I just want to tell you how effective this program is. I started back in '87, and I work a town called Decatur. You might never have heard of it. It's over in Meigs County. They had never had any fire prevention programs prior to this particular program here. And I know it's hard to believe, but they had a 64% drop in structural fires after 1 year of it. It's hard to believe, but it really works. And so, you know, those kids are like sponges. They just soak this stuff up. So if you can teach them when they're little, that's the way to do it.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good job. Well, we have another visitor this evening, I believe. Ms. Dunn or Ms. Muda, who's going to introduce our speaker on composting?
I can introduce
Okay,
him.
yeah, you're recognized.
This is Todd King. He's come to visit us from Franklin, Tennessee.
Yep.
And Butch and Jody and I had the pleasure of meeting him. I guess, when did we go, Butch?
Oh, gosh.
It's been a while.
5 months ago?
I know it was cold. I remember. Okay,
Yeah.
all
There's a
right.
little Irish down there that day.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. But yeah, we were just really impressed with what he had going. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, glad to be here. Very honored to be here. I represent the City of Franklin Compost Facility. We've been operating for 10 years. We compost everything on about 2.5 to 3 acres. Don't sound like a whole lot. We've been able to compost over 100,000 cubic yards at that time. Over $1.4 million in avoided costs. Now, what's that avoided cost? That's a tipping fee. We collect mainly yard debris, leaves and bad grass. We'll do about 14,000 yards of bad grass. Our leaves this year and about 2,000 yards of bad grass. But that's not all you can compost. I kind of toured your great town today. Got here a little early. Really just went up down one street. Seen a grocery store, another grocery store being made, and you got several restaurants going through. 2 pounds per person per day is the average food. The City of Franklin, that's about 32,000 tons. We can't compost it yet. I'm developing a program that can. So there's a need. There's a need for this. How many landfills are being opened around here? None. But how is your town growing? It's been decades since I've been here, and I hate to say that, I'm dating myself, I really am. But your town has grown tremendously since the last time I was here. Progress is growing everywhere. Our town is one of the few that's growing fast. So fast we can't keep up with the infrastructure. Sure, y'all probably seeing that too. This is where a compost facility comes in at. What we have at the City of Franklin is a windrush facility. They're very easy. There's only 2 people, me and my operator, since 2008. And in that time, that's what we've been able to do, 100,000 cubic feet. If you got a wheel loader or a bobcat, you can have a compost facility. Now, we have a windrow turner, we have a screener, but we sell it. We sell our compost at $20 a yard. We've been able to sell about $70,000 worth of compost since 2010. We've actually got customers from Tullahoma, Fayetteville, Northern Alabama, Jackson, Tennessee, Cookeville, Tennessee, Putnam, Tennessee, and Southern Kentucky that come all the way down to get our compost. Now that's a great compliment for us, but in all honesty, I'm here because there's not many of us around. There's only about 4 permitted compost facilities in the state, but yet our state is one of the fastest growing states. And in the South, really the nation. Why? Because we're right in that middle. You can be anywhere within 4 to 5 hours. So it's a commerce, a through state. People move here. But as they move here, dust does what they come. They collect, they debris, the litter, the trash. 30% of what goes in a landfill can be eliminated immediately. 15% is yard debris, the other 15% is food. Now, we're working on a food program and a mulch program now. But I love to come to little towns like this. I love to come to anywhere. I've been to Atlanta, Orlando, Baltimore, a lot of places. But this is my home. Tennessee's my home. I've been here my whole entire life. 40 years I've been in Franklin. And that's a rarity. That truly is a rarity. And I love coming to places like this and saying, hey, you can do this. It's a little bit of work, 2 to 5 acres, you can have a compost facility and diverting material from a landfill. Is there any questions? Does anybody got anything?
What is the biggest expense of implementing something like this?
Your permitting. There's 3 levels of permitting for the state. Tier 1 will be your landscape. You may fall within the guidelines of a permit by rule, depending on what the state says. But then you have Tier 1 landscape debris, Tier 2 is food and ag waste, and Tier 3 is biosolids. Now, don't rule out biosolids. You can truly make a lot of money in revenue with that. What a lot of municipalities don't see is they see what they generate. Because that's what you know. You have a pie. Just think of your budget. You have a pie. Okay, we generate this. But look at your neighboring towns. None of them have a compost facility either. Sevierville Tennessee takes in Knox, Sevier County, and Gatlinburg. Why they do that is to help pay for the compost facility. You can actually charge a tipping fee for your surrounding areas to come here and compost their material. And then actually, they'll buy it on the way out. It's double dipping. But as for your most expense, most municipalities already have a wheel loader or some front end loader. They already have the equipment and the staff and the land. It's the permitting, getting the permitting involved. And if you go this route, that's the first thing you need to do is get on with the state, get on board with TDAC, and say, this is what we're thinking about doing. Know what you're going to compost. If you're going to compost just yard debris, then let them know that. But if you're thinking about doing food, let them know that. Say, hey, we're going to do food. Where do we need to be? What do we need to have? Well, you need to be in a Tier 2, and you need a non-abrasive pad, which means concrete or asphalt. And then work your way from there up.
So how do you collect the food? Do you take it just from restaurants or to households?
Well, right now, the way I'm looking at a program, we don't collect it just yet. There's 83,000 residents in the city of Franklin. Just last year it was 77,000. That's 32,000 tons of food a year. Where y'all are probably producing about 14. My site, the new facility we designed, instead of doing windrows, it'll do an aerated bin system. Now, aerated bin system is faster, but it'll do 126,000 cubic yards on 2 acres, where I can only do 15,000 now. But I'm still not able to compost all the city's food waste. How we would collect it is either outside haulers or we would collect it ourselves. We do have the infrastructure to collect it ourselves, but when you take on tackle that issue, you're talking about a lot more trucks, a lot more manpower. We were already collecting the leaves. And that's what gets me. A lot of towns are already collecting yard debris. You're collecting brush, you're collecting leaves, but you're taking it to the landfill. And you can compost it. It's probably going to be ruled out of the landfill within 2025 anyway. So as for us collecting it, we already had it. Now as for food, yeah, we would probably have to do outsource and collect ourselves. Any more questions?
Does this program pay for itself?
Well, that's a gray area in the government now. You know that.
I do?
Yes, it is. Right now, we're saving this with 2 people. I get everything they're going to gov deal. Everything they're going to put on that line to gov deal. My loader was going to go on gov deals. My Bobcat was going to go on gov deals. I need my 2 pickup trucks. So they'll come to me, and I'll get them at cost. We, right now, is $165,000 is what we save on here. I don't make that much. My operator doesn't make that much. And our overhead. Our biggest expense right now is maintenance for our equipment and fuel. Fuel just keeps going up and up, and it's hard because a lot of what we do is I'll budget for fuel maintenance for our leaseback trucks, even though it doesn't come out. my budget, I'll still budget for it, just because I know one day it probably will.
Which I thought we did compost some, do we not? Do we not compost some?
We mulch all of ours, we carry it, it's trucked to Johnson's
Right.
mulching, we get to claim it as recycled.
Yeah, right, so we don't bury, I don't believe we bury the yard waste. Do
No, sir. We carry it, it's carried
Yeah.
to Johnson and it's turned into mulch.
Right.
The mulch.
Yeah.
It is.
So we're diverting at least that portion
Yes,
of
it
it.
doesn't go to the landfill.
Right.
Yeah, as long as it's not going to landfill, you're showing a diversion.
Yeah.
But what you're going to see in the future, and what the state's really talking about, is food. And they're being really progressive with food, and how we can cut food from the waste stream. Now, you have post-consumer and pre-consumer. I think a post-consumer is a kid who didn't eat all of his lunch and throw it in the trash can. That's post. As a composter, that's what I look for. Pre-consumer, if we can feed people, that's what I see that going to. I'd rather see that go there. That's where you're going to see next. And that's one reason why I've been trying to get these little towns like Fayetteville and here in Tullahoma. And even I talked to our city about it. It's going to come. It's going to come really quick. And the one good thing that we had about a progressive alderman, man, board, and alderman that we had was they seen around the curve saying, you know what, we're already collecting this, let's compost it. Let's just go ahead and do that. And now we're looking around the curve saying, well, you know what, we're probably going to have to do. What's it going to take to do that? And how are we going to get there? Or biosolids. Biosolids is another thing we're looking at, just for the sheer cost of the landfill and hauling it. Tipping fee goes up every year on that, and we're retooling our biosolid facility right now. You do not have to have a grade A compost. You can have a grade B biosolid. You can have a sewer sludge, a certain percentage sewer sludge in compost. You just have to be real careful with how you market that. Another good thing about being down here is you have a huge market potential for composting. I hate to say that because y'all steal a lot of my customers. Because I do have a lot of customer base that's in this area. They drive all the way to Franklin to get a compost, $20 a yard, come all the way back. Huge agriculture. Those guys are looking for somewhere to get rid of their waste too. And that's where that comes from. Think of, Tyson used to have one. They're injected right now. But you've got a big, huge agriculture industry here that can really benefit from a compost facility. And they would actually benefit it too by using it, the product on the end. Any more questions?
Mr. King, you've done an excellent job. You sort of, I think, piqued our curiosity is what we can do. Ms. Dunn, thank you very much for your initiative as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you very much for coming. I hope that you guys will get to see just how impressed Butch and Jody and I were to go and visit, so.
And anytime y'all want to come down. So, City of Franklin, just look me up. Be more than glad to give y'all a site tour and see what we do. I'll give you the nipple tour or the down tour, depending on how long y'all want to be there. It's good meeting y'all.
Thank you very much. So, Ms. Moody, can you add that to your list of things to try to get to at some point? And,
I will.
Yeah, I mean, we're
Good presentation.
yeah, we're a very progressive community as well. There's no reason why we can't take the lead on doing some of these kinds of things also. Yeah.
We'll take a look at it.
Good. Okay, thank you again, Mr. King. We appreciate you being with us this afternoon and tonight. So, any comment, anyone in the audience wish to be recognized at this time? All right, we will proceed. We're ready for board reports. Mr. Mathis, anything to report?
Thank you. Yeah, I do. First of all, I didn't have any meetings, but I do have something to report. And I have a job in town with a local business. And during many times, people will come in there and they want to buy or purchase smoke alarms. And when they do, I'll say, where do you live? And they'll say, Tullahoma. I said, do you realize that if you live in Tullahoma, your fire department will install your smoke alarms? They had no idea whatsoever. And they said, what do we do? I said, you call the fire department, and if you're in the city limits, then they will install them. And they're really appreciative for that information, and most of them will leave, and then they'll come back later and say, we got it done. So that's really something. Another thing is, I know that Chastain, Mr. Chastain, he used to come around and bring this little fire apparatus that you had to put out with an extinguisher. Well, the kids would go up there and they'd put out that fire real quick. Well, it just so happened it was my time. And he said, well, come up here, Coach Mathis, and you try it. So I got up there and, I said, well, I think I can put this fire out real easily. Well, I sprayed that thing all day long, and it wouldn't go out, and they started laughing. And I still remember that, Mr. Chastain. But I couldn't get it out. But finally, they gave in and let me do it. But that's really a neat thing to go around and let the kids see what happens when you try to put it out. It really works well.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Good. Mr. Chastain?
Did I get a chance to?
Yes.
Since
My name was mentioned?
Your name is called, and that's a rule.
I appreciate that, Mayor. It's all about technique.
Dr. Blanks?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since our last meeting, I had a Duck River meeting, nothing, not a Duck River, but a TUA meeting. Nothing out of the ordinary there. It's getting ready to be fall time of the year, hopefully towards the end of the week. We'll have cooler weather coming in, and maybe we can finish off this walking the AT Trail on a high note. I don't know if we'll make it halfway through the AT Trail. That's a lot of miles,
2,200 miles.
but we're getting there slowly but surely. I always like to remind people to shop Tullahoma if at all possible. And I think the street light is getting ready to be working out in front of Publix, or is working.
It is. Well, it's flashing.
It's flashing, so beware that you'll have another street light on Jackson to negotiate. But it'll help get traffic in and out of the new supermarket. And that's all I have.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Blanks. Ms. King?
Thank you, Mayor. I attended the 41A Festival, and I'm sure many here did as well, and we really thank the groups that are involved with that. Bringing so many people to our community is very much appreciated. So a lot of man hours and women hours go into making that happen every year. So kudos to those groups. Also attended a Blue Monarch fundraiser, and those of you who don't know about Blue Monarch, please go on the website and check that out. It's amazing what those people up there are doing, and the women they are helping out and their families. It's very heartbreaking, but the stories are just amazing. That group is amazing. I really enjoyed that evening. A couple of weeks ago, I filled in for the mayor, and I presented Maddie G. Harris, her 100th birthday. We made it Maddie G. Harris in Tullahoma, and she and her family were really excited. She was a true blessing to meet. I had not met her before, but I knew a lot of her family. I went to school with them. So it was really nice to be able to go and do that as well. And I also had a school board meeting last week as well. So that's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Ms. Dunn.
I got to visit with Jennifer Moody a couple of days ago, and we talked for a while about different things that we both were excited about in Tullahoma. And I don't know that I mentioned recycling looking back, but we've had the Master Recycling Program was last Saturday. We've got a couple of people who had attended that are here tonight, so thank you guys very much for coming out. But I felt like that was a really nice presentation. Annie Clements and Noel Clements worked really hard to get that together, and Andrew Rice hosted at CFC Recycling, and that was just a really, it was a good morning to get to tour that and everything. I've got a list of, I guess it's about 20-something pages that Rosemary printed off for me of different businesses and individuals in town who are receiving an extra trash bin. I'm about a quarter of the way through, and I've had a lot of folks. It's been very positive. A lot of people say, "Yeah, tell me more about it." So it's been good to be able to talk about it. So, but yeah.
Good report. Thank you, Mr. Darrow. Anything that you'd like to report?
Well, the Tullahoma City Schools are thankfully on fall break right now. And I guess I don't really have any city issues, except that I hiked Short Springs today with my mom, and it was looking very clean and nice, and I think everybody in the town is taking care of it, so it's very good.
Good. I understand there's more and more people using that. Mm-hmm. Well, again, appreciate you being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
The only thing I've got to report on is that I really appreciate the community pitching in and helping the community of Swansboro, North Carolina, which was practically devastated with 34 inches of rain, back during the hurricane. And so it worked out well. The materials was almost filled up a 16-foot long trailer and probably 6 feet tall maybe, or something like that, I'm not sure. Probably 80% full. It was pretty remarkable. So I've talked to the mayor of Swansboro after it was delivered, and he was so appreciative. So thanks everybody for their good work. Ready for the city attorney's report. Mr. Worsham, please, sir.
Good evening. Mayor Curley and my law partner Mike Giffen and I attended the Supreme Court hearing last Wednesday about the liquor by the drink lawsuit that's been brought by the Coffee County Board of Education against the city of Tullahoma. We were there along with 4 other municipalities that have similar litigation pending before the Supreme Court, and the matters were all argued simultaneously, one party after another for the appellee and one party after the other for the appellant. And I came away from that very confident as to how our side was presented and the manner in which the justices of the Supreme Court asked questions which indicated they were very attuned to the situation and our situation and our position in this matter. And although you never can, predict how a matter is going to come out, I don't think that our position could have been presented any better. And I was very pleased about it, and I'm very hopeful that we will prevail in that. As you might recall, as a background item, Tullahoma, and the case that we brought our case was upheld by the Chancellor here, Chancellor Nessa Jackson, in our local court, but then was appealed by the County School Board to the Court of Appeals, and the Court of Appeals Middle Division reversed Justice Jackson, and then we appealed, of course, to the Supreme Court, whereas the other 4 municipalities, the Eastern District of the Court of Appeals, all the municipalities won in those cases, so we were one of 5, and we were the only party that lost in the Court of Appeals, so we feel like, if nothing else, maybe the numbers are on our side. So we'll know in about 6 weeks what their decision is going to be in that case. Do you have any questions about that? The other thing is, I reported to you last week, Mr. Greg Sandlin, who's a member of the Coffee County Public Building Authority, was here and presented an issue to you all that I looked into. I talked with Jerry Cardell, the county mayor, and I think Mayor Curley has also had some conversation with him. And I did some research, and I found that there's some misunderstanding about the Public Building Authority on the part of some people. But in fact, the Public Building Authority was actually created by Coffee County. The city of Manchester was not a co-creator of that authority, so that Manchester really has no right to have any specific number of members on the board of directors. Later on, the Public Building Authority entered into a joint venture with the city of Manchester for the conference center. But that's an investment of the Public Building Authority. It is not making them in any way a co-originator of or co-members of the Public Building Authority itself. So I'm going to read from Tennessee Code Annotated how the board of directors shall be constituted. It's a little bit long, but if you'll bear with me, it says the authority shall have a board of directors in which all corporate powers of the authority shall be vested in, and which shall consist of any number of directors, but no less than 7. All of whom shall be duly qualified electors of the municipality. And the municipality also equates to county in this case. All right. The director shall be appointed by the chief executive officer. That'd be the county mayor, subject to confirmation by the governing body of the municipality or the county. So Gary Cordell, the county mayor, has the authority to select and to nominate members of the board of directors of the Public Building Authority. And all he needs to do is receive confirmation from the members of the board of directors, which are 7. So the confusion is that had Manchester and Coffee County joined together in creating the Public Building Authority, then there would have been some division of membership, so that it should be approximately as equal as they could be, depending upon the number of directors that they had. But Manchester was not a co-creator, and therefore, in my opinion, we could enact a resolution, as an example, directed to the county mayor, asking him to give Tullahoma fair representation on the Public Building Authority. Now, he's assured me verbally, and Mayor Curley as well, that he would do that. But until that actually is, I think, sort of solidified in the resolution by the Public Building Authority itself, or in some manner, I think then we would want to ask for them to do that. Because theoretically, to be fair, Tullahoma's representation should be equivalent to our population in the county in relationship to the entire county. not just one or two or something, there's 7 directors, and maybe, and you know, the county members at large can be from outside of Tullahoma and Manchester to make it equal, but this thing about approximately equal, it just doesn't really apply at all. It can be, all 7 members can be from any place in the county.
So do you want to take Mr. Worsham's advice and ask him to prepare a resolution? I think to clarify this. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah. I'll prepare one for the next meeting.
Ms. Moody, are you okay with that?
Yes.
Good. Good. Thank you for your good report. I want to add just a sentence or two about Mr. Worsham and our visit to the Supreme Court. In all the years that I spent in the building next door, 8 years in the Tennessee General Assembly, I never walked over to the Supreme Court building. And but that easily was one of the most fascinating afternoons that I have ever spent in my entire life. Listening and how all those justices were so engaged in this issue and asked really, I think, pertinent questions, and just the dialogue back and forth was. So my point is, I would encourage any of you have opportunities. It's all public, it's all open. As far as I know, it's all open, and encourage you to consider going and doing that if you're in Nashville sometime. So, okay, ready for the city administrator's report. Ms. Moody, please.
Yes, I would just like to address, I wasn't with you at the last board meeting. I was away in Baltimore attending an annual professional development conference that I go to every year. It's the International City County Managers Association, and I was with about 3,500 other local government professionals at that conference, and just want to thank you for your support and allowing me to go and spend that time, because every time that I do, I feel like I gain so much just from networking with people all over the country, sharing ideas. There's a lot that we have in common, but there's also a lot that we can learn from each other, especially I think just listening to some of the people on the West Coast. They have very different issues sometimes than we do in the South, and are thinking a lot about sustainability and composting and some of these issues we talked about. While I was away, I know the topic of sidewalks and safety along routes to schools was discussed, and I wanted to share with you, while we already know in our capital planning and in our projects, we look at sidewalk maintenance every year. We look at opportunities to expand the greenway and connect our existing sidewalks with new sidewalks. But I think this year it's especially on our minds to prioritize sidewalks around schools. And so staff has already developed a report for me to look at where I can see where the existing sidewalks are and where the gaps are around schools. And we're going to put together a list of projects along with, I've already talked with Dr. Lawson, but as soon as Mr. Carter gets on board, we'll also meet with him and make sure that we prioritize along with the school system where we need to make some improvements. And so when we have that prioritized list, I'll bring that back to you so you have a chance to see it and make comment on it. But I just wanted to reiterate to you that we will continue to use all of the grant funds that we can, but we may also begin looking at some of the bond proceeds to see if some of these high priority projects can get moved along faster. I think you've seen that while especially TDOT grants are very beneficial to us, it can take a long time to see those projects to fruition. So if we can allocate some of our bond funds, I think we can see some of these projects get done a little bit faster.
Good.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, ready for the consent agenda. We have 5 items: 18-148 for the September 24th meeting, 18-149 approve bids and authorize mayor to execute a construction contract with Core Construction to complete a new section of sidewalks along Collins Street, Grundy Street, and Franklin Street. 150 approve an agreement with Wimberly, Lawson, Wright, Daves, and Jones, PLLC for labor and employment law consulting as needed for a 1-year term. 151 approve emergency repairs to the city's stormwater drainage system on Country Club Drive. And 15152 certificate of compliance, retail food store, wine, Aldi, doing businesses, Aldi number 54, 2014 North Jackson Street, Tillman, Tennessee. Is there a motion to approve the consent
So moved.
agenda?
Second.
Proper motion, properly seconded. All those, who made the motion?
I did.
Mr. Mathis, seconded by Dr. Blank. All those in favor of the consent agenda as presented, vote green. Opposed, vote red. Motion passes 5-0. We have two items of old business. First, ordinance number 1510, to consider an ordinance of the City of Tullahoma, Tennessee to amend the zoning ordinance, which is ordinance number 1392, by replacing Article 8, non-conforming structures and uses, with the new Article 8, non-conforming provisions, for passage on the second of two readings. You recall, we earlier had a public hearing on this issue. We approved it on first reading. Is there a motion to approve on second reading?
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Blank, seconded by Mr. Mathis. Any discussion? All those in favor of ordinance 1510, vote green. Opposed, vote red. Motion passes 5-0. Now, this next item, let me explain. Let me read the caption. Item 18-112, approve and authorize the mayor to execute an engineering services agreement with St. John Engineering for a 5-year term. You might recall a couple of months or so ago, the motion was made to lay this item on the table. So the first motion is we need to lift from the table to properly have this item before us. So if someone would make a motion to lift from the table.
Motion to lift.
Motion, is there a second? Second by Ms. Dillon. All right, so the only thing we're voting on right now is the motion to make it properly before us. So all those in favor of the motion as presented, vote green. Opposed, vote red.
All right, hold on one second. All right, now,
Now,
declare the board, sorry. Thank you.
All right, motion passes 5-0. All right, we now have properly before us 18-112. So, is there a motion that we accept staff recommendation?
Move to approve.
Proper motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Dunn, seconded by Ms. King. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to accept the staff recommendation, alternative number 1, authorize the mayor to execute the engineering services agreement with St. John Engineering, vote green. Opposed, vote red. Has everyone voted?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Moody. All right, we have 6 items of new business. Let me ask a question first. Is item 18-154, is that properly before us, or do we need to make a motion to put that before us? It says added item.
You will need to make a motion to add this item.
Okay, so let's do that now so I don't forget. So the chair will entertain a motion that we place before us 18-154 at the appropriate time.
So moved.
Second.
Proper motion by Mr. Mathis, second by Ms. King. All those in favor of adding item 18-154 to the agenda, vote green. Opposed, vote red. Motion passes 5-0. Okay. Resolution number 1778. Consider adopting a resolution approving an Urban Development Action Grant, UDAG, loan to the Tullahoma Airport Authority for construction of a new hangar. This is exciting. So you'll see that description on page 69 of your agenda. Is there a motion that we approve the resolution to approve the UDAG grant, subject to legal review?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Mathis, seconded by Ms. King. Any discussion?
There was a hangar that was going up. It seems like we voted on this last year, something similar. Is this a new hangar?
What it is?
What you voted on last year was approving the initial financing through the Tennessee Municipal Bond Fund for $200,000 loan.
Okay.
And they just got the bid specs back, so that's why we're doing the UDAG now that we have a firm amount.
Okay, so this is the same hangar?
Same hangar.
Okay, all right.
What's the firm amount, Ms. Wilson?
The full amount of the project will be $758,000, including, that includes engineering, and that includes also a reserve for any undercutting they need to do.
What's the UDAG amount?
Oh, the UDAG amount is $193,000. That's the gap in between the grants and the loan.
Okay.
As you recall, this is the hangar that's going to be used for corporate aircraft. As I recall, is that right? All right, good. Any discussion? Any more discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion as presented to approve, vote green. Opposed, vote red. Motion passes 5-0. Ordinance number 1512, consider an ordinance to amend the zoning map as set forth in the Tullahoma Municipal Code, which is ordinance number 1392, to rezone an approximately 30.9 acre parcel located at 725 Old Shelbyville Highway from R1 Low Density Residential District to A Agricultural District for passage on the first of two readings. You recall we earlier held a public hearing and expressed any opposition. It's also gone to the Planning Commission. The chair will entertain a motion to approve.
Move to
First
approve.
reading. Motion by Ms. Dillon, seconded by
Second.
Dr. Blanks. Any discussion, any questions?
I do have some discussion. Maybe Mr. Lawson, if you could come to the podium. This property is out 130, and it's been posted, and just wanted to make sure that when we change this from residential to agricultural, the purpose of this property, I think, is for them to have like wedding facilities or
Those for outdoor facilities.
outdoor facilities.
Yeah, it'll just be for outdoor events. The only thing that's going to be done inside would be like a prepping place for food distribution and then there's restrooms. But if they have big events, they're going to bring in portable ones.
Right, but for them to be able to do this, they had to rezone this property, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and there are some stipulations about time, not being too late, you know.
Right, there was a conditional use permit that was approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals, but it's on contention of the rezoning.
Okay.
But it does have those regulations like you're discussing right now.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we were aware of that. So, thank you.
Other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of ordinance number 1512 on the first of two readings, vote green, opposed, vote red. Motion passes 5-0. Ordinance number 1513, consider an ordinance to repeal ordinance number 1496, an ordinance amending Title 20 miscellaneous of the Tullahoma Municipal Code by creating a new chapter 14, Sports Council, for passage on the first of two readings. Let me get a motion in a second. I'll defer to someone for an explanation, or I can read from the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Jones, seconded by Dr. Blanks. You see on page 82, on September 10, 2018, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen adopted a resolution acknowledging the public benefit of Tullahoma Sports Council, seeking 501c3 status and supporting its establishment by directing any funds directed for the Tullahoma Sports Council to the new nonprofit entity, the Tullahoma Sports Council, Inc. As a procedural matter, it is necessary to dissolve the previously created organization through repeal of the original ordinance that established the Tullahoma Sports Council as a committee of the City of Tullahoma. With the board's approval, city staff will prepare a funding resolution to allocate funds to a new nonprofit entity on the future agenda to be considered for approval, along with the second reading of the same ordinance. So we're just repealing what we did before in order to allow this new entity to be created.
We're dissolving one entity to create another.
That's correct. Because it better meets the needs of the council.
Okay, as far as fundraising goes.
Correct.
Okay.
If I might comment
Yes, sir.
a moment about this, because I've been involved, because we won't actually be creating another one. The Sports Council will be creating a private, not-for-profit corporation under which they will operate once that's been approved, and that will then allow them to go ahead and seek a 501c3 designation so that they will be eligible for grants and be eligible for charitable contributions that will be deductible. So the next step will be for them to file their 501c3 application with the Department of the Revenue, the Internal Revenue Service, and I believe they've already have their charter for the not-for-profit corporation. I'll check on that because they need to do those two things before we then adopt the funding resolution that Ms. Wilson has prepared and to enact this on second reading.
Was the Sports Council an arm of the city government?
No, it is not. It will not be once we repeal.
Was it before?
Yes, it was.
Well, for
Yes, it was.
a couple of weeks or a short time.
Let me ask this, once, and we were going to support them with city funds and taxpayer money. Now that they're going to be 501c3, will we still support them the same way?
They will be eligible for support as other not-for-profit corporations every year when we prepare our budget and we make allocations of those different entities. As well, you might recall that this was precipitated by the very generous contribution of $100,000 that they received from the family here in Tullahoma. And so that sort of created the impetus for them to move forward, I guess, to broaden their horizons of what they can do in the future.
Good explanation. Better than mine. All right, any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion on first reading, vote green, opposed, vote read. Motion passes 5-0. Item 15153, approve appointment of Mr. Robin Keel to the Tullahoma Housing Authority for a 5-year term. So you see the description and the resume found starting on page 87. Very pleased that this young person has agreed to serve on the Housing Authority, and there's no objection that would appoint him to serve at this time. And we'll communicate with Robin and let them know.
Motion approved.
Second.
That's a mayoral appointment, so I don't think we need to.
Sorry, I stepped on
Item 18154, approve and authorize the mayor to execute a contract with the Tennessee Department of Transportation, TDOT, for a joint community transportation matching grant with the city of Manchester, and authorize local matching funds up to $4,989.40 for the plan. We've been discussing this for some time, and so we're simply need permission from the board to take this to the next step. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Proper motion, properly second. Any discussion? We ready to vote? All those in favor vote for. 18154. Vote green, opposed, vote red. Somebody authorizing the mayor to sign. Motion passes 5-0. Let's move to the end of the business. We'll adjourn and go into the beer board portion of the agenda. We have consent agenda minutes of September 24th, 2018 beer board meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. King, seconded by Ms. Dillon. All those in favor of the consent agenda as presented, vote green, opposed, vote red.
Guys, you're too quick. One more time, sorry. All right.
Motion passes 5-0. We have one item of new business, 18 DB31 beer application, special event permit, nonprofit, Tullahoma South Jackson Civic Association, Inc. Care of Ms. Colleen Saunders, President for Oktoberfest on Saturday, October 27, 2018, 404 South Jackson Street, Tullahoma, Tennessee. If you agree, then we need to make a motion. The motion will include the motion to waive the fee.
I'll make the motion and waive the fees.
Proper motion by Ms. King, second by Ms. Dillon. Any discussion? All those in favor, vote green, opposed, vote red. Motion passes 5-0. Ms. Moody, anything else? We good? We are adjourned. Take it easy.